Welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen, another episode of White Sox Daily. I'm Aaron Feely here with a little bit more White Sox news this holiday season, a very festive, special episode of White Sox Daily as the Chicago White Sox held a press conference earlier on today, kind of introducing Murakami to the Chicago faithful. And speaking of, we'll get more into what he was up to over this last couple of days here as Murakami continues to endear himself here to the Chicago fan base, to the White Sox, and a lot going on with that we'll get into a little bit later. But first, the Chicago White Sox have made yet another move in the free agent market. We know that they have been attacking pitching strongly, or at least they've been attempting to. They've kind of come into a couple of minor league contracts to pick up. They already picked up one other starter earlier on in free agency, and now they have signed Sean Newcomb. They got him on a one-year deal, $4.5 million. Had a pretty solid season last year for both the Boston Red Sox and the Athletics. Traded on May 27th for cash considerations and actually ended up being really solid for the Athletics. 2-1 with a 1.75 ERA, only a 214 batting average against him with the Athletics last year. Not to mention 50 strikeouts in just 36 appearances, all from the bullpen. He was actually the seventh best ERA amongst all relievers last year, post May 29th, so after his kind of first appearance there with the Athletics. So a guy that really was solid coming out of the pen for the Athletics last season. He was a little bit worse for Boston before that, but not too terribly. I mean, a 4.13 ERA with the Boston Red Sox wasn't necessarily awful. A 2.73 for the full season. A guy that obviously coming into this year already 32 years old. But he adds another left-handed relief pitcher to this White Sox bullpen, who desperately need more of those at this time. And just adds, I mean, realistically, even if you're not trying to be picky about it, adds warm bodies to the bullpen for the White Sox at this time. A guy who will come in and not just be any old arm to throw out there, which we were kind of worried at a certain point the White Sox were going to maybe have to rely on a few times this season. Now, he's a guy that we just talked about at seventh best ERA amongst all relievers last year. A guy that can really come in here and put together some really solid appearances for Chicago. They talked about how they wanted pitchers that they could trust in high leverage situations coming out of the pen. Well, here you go. They bring in Sean Newcomb, a guy that can absolutely be trusted with big-time innings that you desperately need if you are a Chicago White Sox fan. Really like this signing here. Let us know how you guys feel about the signing down in the comment section below. You can add him now to some of the other guys that have come in this current offseason, like Anthony Kay. He'll join a couple of other lefties there on the Chicago 40-man roster right now among the pitching staff. They've also got Tyler Gilbert, Brian Hudson, and Chris Murphy. So looking to build upon that room, and I really enjoy the prospect of Newcomb coming in here and bringing a little bit of that juice to the White Sox pitching staff. As we'll kind of move right on along, though, here toward some of the other positions of need to discuss, is that Newcomb comes in and he solves one of them. He gives you a good left-handed pitcher out of the bullpen. He gives you a guy that can come in high leverage situations. But the White Sox still desperately in need of some starting pitching right now. They still only have three guys that you can really truthfully pencil in as surefire guys that will be in that starting rotation at the beginning of next season. And that's really going to need to be addressed. There's still a lot of big names out there, a lot of guys that I think White Sox fans would certainly feel very comfortable with, and I think that ownership would feel comfortable with the general price range. The bigger obstacle, I think, is definitely going to be what the White Sox are going to do in the outfield. I think Luis Robert at this point, if he is traded, that just creates yet another hole that you're going to have to fill. I think personally, at this point, I'm not even sure that this is just my preference, this is starting to look more and more like it might be what ends up just happening for the Chicago White Sox, and that is that Luis Robert will still be here come opening day. I think you can probably pencil him in. Andrew Benintendi can probably be safely slid into that left field spot, but obviously he's a guy that's now had some injury history. Luis Roberts had well-documented injury history, so the depth is going to be massive for Chicago this coming season. And we still don't even know what they're going to do in right field. I think right now the front runner for that spot is going to be Everson Pereira, and I'm not even sure how much you trust him out there. I mean, he's really more of a project player at this point. He's a guy that certainly can go start in right field, but how much do you really just feel great about that right off the bat? Obviously, there's some much bigger names in the outfield market for free agency, but that almost becomes a problem in and of itself. The White Sox have already taken a big swing going out and getting Murakami as kind of their number one big-time signing here. Do you really foresee the Jerry Reinsdorf-owned Chicago White Sox taking another massive swing at a Bellinger, at a Tucker, a guy, one of those type of outfielders? Highly unlikely. And so it's becoming less and less clear what their plan is going to be in right field and what their plan is going to be for depth this upcoming season. Obviously, they went out, they got Tristan Peters, another kind of project player. You got Derek Hill, a veteran who can play some defense, but, I mean, he's really more of a guy that you'd like to see kind of as a late inning defensive substitution, because he really doesn't bring a great deal of offense to any given lineup. So still looking fairly foggy in that category. Still not sure how we're going to fill out the starting rotation. Still not totally positive what the White Sox are going to do out in the outfield. Let us know what you guys think about it down below, and we'll move right on along through our stories, as we actually have a fairly nice just kind of human relations story coming out of Chicago. One of the big press conference points of the day, it was kind of the whole point of the press conference, as a matter of fact, was the introduction of Murakami to the White Sox fans and reporters today, and right off the bat endearing himself to the Chicago faithful, donating $100 grocery gift certificates to 100 lucky families in downtown Chicago. A very nice gesture to come right out on day one and just instantly endear himself to the Chicago fan base, to the city, kind of a way to give back just a little bit. And you love to see that from a guy comes right in, not just the area, not even from this country, and just immediately giving back to the local community. Really classy gesture, really nice move by Murakami. And then on top of that, a $10,000 donation to the food pantry that was kind of a big part of this whole thing. The gift certificates were to the St. James Food Pantry. And then, of course, on top of the gift certificates being given out, the $10,000 donation on top of it. Really nice move there by Murakami. He makes himself very, very easy to root for, which kind of transitions us very nicely into our final topic of the day. And that's kind of the already return on the investment that the White Sox are getting out of him, not only to the communities we just mentioned, but the growing fan base that you're already seeing now overseas in Japan. It has been amazing. You can't scroll on social media for more than 15 seconds if you're a White Sox fan. That algorithm's already spitting out White Sox talk, and just the sheer outpour of former Swallows fans over from Japan coming over now, following Murakami and his career. He's obviously got a massive following back home, and the huge outcry of support that you're already seeing from overseas now for Murakami to the White Sox. Fans from Japan already, hats are going on sale en masse. Murakami's jersey's been flying off the shelf. There's already sort of a business return to this, just on merchandise sales you're getting. And, of course, kind of MLB subscriptions here for MLB TV overseas already. It has been amazing to see kind of all the posts, all the business side of this, the merch sales, everything here as the Japanese fan base is kind of, you know, rallied around the Chicago White Sox since the signing. It has been really cool to see the White Sox fandom growing in this way and growing overseas in such a spectacular fashion. And yeah, it's been awesome to see. We welcome all the new fans to the Chicago White Sox fandom. Hopefully the White Sox give us all something to watch and appreciate this upcoming season and for seasons to come. Hopefully after 2 years, we're able to extend Murakami and he becomes a staple piece of this franchise. We'd love to see that. We'd love to see him continue his notorious power here in Chicago, to see him continue to just be that beast that we all know he is for first base and be a linchpin of the White Sox, who have a proud, proud tradition of great power hitting first basemen here on the South Side. And that'll do it for today's episode. We'll see you guys after Christmas here on White Sox Daily.